Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome on into this very exciting episode. I am joined by Emily Rose, who got to play two incredible characters in Uncharted and then in God of War Ragnarok. So thank you so much for being a part of this and saying yes to this and talking to me about games.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me. I so appreciate it.
Well, yeah. Again, thank you so much for the opportunity. I have been really a big fan of yours since Haven show.
No
Um,
way. Oh my
yeah.
goodness. That's so
I
exciting.
actually saw you first on Haven. I didn't see you in the games first because I didn't have a PlayStation then. So I saw Haven first, and then I got to know that you were in the game, and then I got to play the game.
Oh my goodness. That's so exciting.
Yeah.
That right up there is my little map of Chester,
Oh,
Nova Scotia, where we filmed.
damn, that's so cool.
And you can't see that because it's got the
Yeah.
sunlight. I could take it off, but that was the view from my house. That's the Bay of Chester, Nova Scotia. And
Wow.
then back there, there is my
Oh,
little Haven slate card thing that they would, clapper. God, why can't I think right now? And then that's another. These are two Uncharted posters, but oh my
so
goodness, that's
cool.
so sweet. Here I was like trying to beef up on my God of War stuff in terms of that project, and you bring out Haven, so that's so sweet.
Oh yeah, no, no,
That's so.
I just
Oh
love it.
yeah, this is a fun picture. This is me,
Oh, that's so cool.
Balfour,
Yeah,
and Lucas.
that is
Right
wonderful.
here next.
I actually watched it because of a wrestler who came into that show, who was part of the show, Adam.
Adam.
Yeah, Adam. And I was like,
Yeah.
I loved him in WWE. So I was like, oh, he retired. And I was like, oh God, I gotta see something. And then he said like, yeah, he's doing Haven.
Oh.
So I jumped because of him. And then I got to know you and all that. I was like hooked from the very first episode. So yeah,
Well, that's where you have to just think casting, right?
yeah,
And think I'm always thankful when things like that happen. It's a great example of just the chain of events of what happens when somebody has to pivot in their career. Like
yeah,
with Adam, he needed to be done for that season. And so when he's looking to grow his, skills and his career and all of that stuff, and obviously, keep just moving as we need to as people
yeah.
creatively. The fact that he hopped over onto our show and then that brought your audience and as you, I mean, it was such a gift to us. I remember Lucas and I being like, wait, who is this guy? Like when they said this is how naive I can be. They're like, we have a wrestler. And I was, I've said this before. I was thinking like a short, stocky, bald guy, like that was old. And then I show up and I'm like, who is this surfer on our set? This is kind of incredible. And then he's just the nicest guy. And I'm I mean, he would laugh and but I'm continually looking for ways that he and I can work again together in the
Wow.
future because we just had such a good time. So
That's amazing. I really love the guy. I've been a big like fan of his whatever he does, like whatever, like ever since
yeah.
WWE and I, all the series and movies and stuff that he did. I just loved him. So like yeah, it's incredible. So again, it's
Well,
just
and what's funny to me is because, I just know him as Adam. Like,
yeah,
the saying goes, you don't know him from Adam. I just know him as Adam. you know, I, for me, when we would go back and watch all of his wrestling stuff, this other persona, it was just crazy for me
who is
because
this
I know him
guy?
as Dwight, that's who I know him as, just this teddy bear and just incredible human being. So that's great. I love that he brought you over. That's wonderful.
After the show ended and then I was like, okay, there's more Uncharted. These four Uncharted games are there, and like it's so good. And if I can get a PlayStation, and then I got a PlayStation, I played the game, and then I realized, okay, this sounds very familiar. This person,
Oh, so
so
fascinating.
and I checked out. I went on IMDb. I'm like, who the hell are these voice actors? And I just wanted to know who it is. And then, oh, it's her. Like I was like so
Well, then
surprised.
did you go back and watch the episode where Nolan and I did an episode together of Haven?
Yeah, I did. I
Yeah.
was like, whoa, no way. This is what I was
And
so
that,
cool.
I think my dear friend Brian, who was a writer on the writer staff, he was one of the younger guys there at the time. And he, said to all the writers and the producers, guys, I think if we were to hire this guy on the show for an episode, fans would freak out. And
Yeah.
it was a dream for Nolan and I get to act together on an episode of television. That was so fun to do. And it was a little crazy for him when he talks about it, because he's so used to seeing me in the Uncharted world.
Yeah.
And Uncharted work days, as amazing as they are, I mean, they were pretty. I mean, they could get long, but they weren't excessive. They were
Mm.
very kind of just chill. Don't tell anybody I said that,
Yeah.
but we were always like, this is great. Like, you come in at a reasonable hour, you leave at a reasonable hour. But then for him to see how we worked on Haven on the edge of the world was quite an eye opener for him. And he just was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe how much, like how early you're here and how late you're here and how much you're doing. And it was really fun for us to do that together, because it always makes any process working with somebody that you have a rapport with just
Yeah.
quicker and so much fun.
Yeah, I guess after that, Nolan would be like, "Oh, I guess I'm not doing any of the TV shows. I think I'm good with games, with the schedule."
No, any chance we get. We actually just did a little we did a little cameo in a film that's coming out on this streaming app called Angel Studios, and it's this show called The Shift, or it's a film called The Shift, and the director was a huge Uncharted fan as
Wow.
well. And so we spoke, and he was like, I don't have a huge part in this, but I would really love for you to be a part of this. And I said, well, I know Nolan really well, and he has a background in journalism. So if you would like he and I to be the newscasters together, we can do that. So we just did a fun little stint in this post-apocalyptic film called The Shift, and we get to be the newscasters, and we get to be
Wow.
kind of funny and satirical. So that was really fun for us.
Wow, that's so cool. I cannot wait to watch that. It's gonna be so.
Yeah, you should. I can't wait to watch it either. It's going to be great.
That's amazing. Well, Uncharted was a game that I really loved, but you did, which I thought like, okay, Uncharted is a game, and then I wanted to see what next Emily will do, and you got to be in God of War Ragnarok as Sif, which was very
Yeah.
surprising for me because I had no idea who new characters are. I just knew like there's Thor, there's Odin, and there's Kratos and Atreus and all those, but I didn't know who else would be. And when I
Mhm.
saw Sif and when I heard it, I was like, it's Emily Rose, which is great.
Oh, wow. That's
Returning again.
fantastic.
So
Yeah.
what was that role like? Like you playing that role after like so many years being in a video game? Like how was that like?
Well, I'm sure you hear other actors talk about it. The face, like the way that we are auditioning now is so completely different than when I started acting. I got Uncharted. I didn't get the audition, and then I came back to, as many people have heard, I came back to read across from Nolan and all the other actors just to help with auditions. I came to read across from everyone that was auditioning in the room. Obviously, back in the day, we got to be in the room, and that's how I got that part, was because I just read all day long, and got Elena. They heard Elena, in me and on me and all the things. And Nolan and I had great chemistry. So to come out of theater school and to get that audition and that job so in such a wonderful way is great. So fast forward what the game industry, like in all our entire industry, to self-taping, and having a family and working, really the unglamorous way that I did that audition was it came in through my voiceover agent, like many auditions do. And to be honest, when you're in busy family life, you spend so much time doing auditions that you just don't get them. And so I remember I was coming up on the deadline for this audition, and it's always coded a different name. You never really know what it
Of
is.
course.
And I looked and it said PlayStation, and I was like, well, I mean, maybe I should just throw this one on tape. Like I should just do it because it's for PlayStation, and I love that company, and I might have a small shot of getting something if I do it. So I auditioned for it very quickly in my garage again, at the time, with the big sheet behind me, because that's how, with a ring light.
Mhm.
And I think it was I think I just did it on my own in the garage because the writer's Matt's so great and had just like a paragraph. I auditioned for that probably 5 or 6 months before I even heard that I was going to be a part. So I didn't
Wow.
think I got it. Like I thought it was gone because TV moves so much quicker. So when I got notified that I was going to have a producer session, which is when and it was in the middle of everything. So it was on Zoom. And I got to meet them and work with them and just wonderful creative team. Um, it was it was great. And then I heard I got it, and I was so excited because when I found out it was God of War, I was obviously very excited to be a part of something so amazing.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, it's really incredible you got to share this story here because I always wondered like, okay, auditions, like you always get so much auditions. Like, is it like maybe a kind of like a normal thing that you do where you get auditions and you forget about all what you did? Like, because I don't know, do you have that thing going on, or do you like, okay, you have to whatever you audition, you wait for it, you're anticipating that you might get the offer, or
No, it's a great question. Honestly, it always just depends on the project. Honestly, there's a lot of auditions that I just, get, and especially now, before I had a family, before I had small kids, I was able to invest so much more time in it, which sometimes is a good thing, but sometimes was not a great thing because I would just overwork it.
Mhm.
And now I think you have only a certain amount of time and to kind of look at the material and do what you do. And then you really only have a certain amount of time because then you have to edit it together and pick which takes you like and make sure the lighting and the sound is right and label the file correctly and all this stuff. It's funny because I think there are some points in your career where things just come to you and they just want you for it. But there's a lot of other points where you really are just having to churn out those auditions all the time. So I think there's some auditions that you get and you kind of get attached to the project and you're like, oh my gosh, I really hope that I hear something. And you might ask for feedback if you hear anything. But then for the most part, I had an acting teacher, and when I was in high school learning about film, say, your job as an actor is to audition and forget about it. Like you just audition and forget about it. And which makes it hard. I've had some friends that are like, they get called back for something and you're like, oh gosh, I got to put my head back into this again.
Yeah.
Um, but that's fine. That's part of the job.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, like in these situations where when you have to like, especially like for example, for me, when I'm like trying to put out like a video editing job because I'm a video editor as well.
Mm-hmm.
So when I'm
Mm-hmm.
putting out that
Mm-hmm.
job and I put out an interview, I'm like, where did that go? Like, what happened? And like, so
Yeah,
I keep on
totally.
going on that, mindset. Like, okay, I didn't get that too. Like, and it keeps on getting like mentally, I'm like, wow, this is great. Like, so I assume that
Yeah.
that's prop to kind of negate that mental situation, or struggling with that mentally. I think it's better to like forget about what you auditioned or what you applied for.
Well, and you just kind of, and I'm preaching to the choir right now, but you just kind of, when you get the job, you're getting paid what you're getting paid in that moment. I think not just for the job, but for all the training and preparation
Yeah.
to that point and for what you're doing, right? So, I just have to continually remind myself, as I'm doing now constantly, that all the in betweens, you might not be getting the payment for it, but you're keeping your skills sharp, you're staying in it. And, that's just literally part of the job. It's
Hmm.
just what you do. And, there's many other jobs in the world that people, contractors or design teams that like put bids together and send it out. And the difficult part about the acting part of it, and it sounds a little similar to what you're saying too, is that and voiceover auditions and things is they just get sent out and you really don't know, so it's
Yeah.
very hard to learn or grow from not hearing. However, the good thing is with acting is if you are getting called back for the same casting office or things like that, then or the same company,
Hmm.
like in my case with PlayStation, you know that they're happy with the product, that they enjoy working with you. And really that's what you're trying to do, is you're just trying to build those places and offices and relationships, or people in your case, like who will want to work with you again. And even if they don't pick you for that project, they were like, oh wow, that person was really talented, and I'm going to keep that. They're not it this I need this for this project, but I'm going to keep them in mind for this next thing. So
Yeah, yeah, that's totally right. Um, well, like when I got God of War Ragnarok, like I was super excited for the game, and I finished it, and it was like so amazing. It was like the end, like when the end happened, when the ending happened, it felt like a movie, really, like a big
yeah.
superhero movie ended with like intense emotional feeling, and then it was like all of it. I was like, how this is happening, and I was playing that like in my living room. I usually play it here, and I was playing in my living room, and the music was very intense, and my mom was like, "What are you watching?" I'm like, "I'm not
Yes.
watching, I'm playing."
Yeah.
It's so crazy.
Yeah.
But people have been
Yeah.
people have loved this game so much. Like, what do you think about like the insane reception that this game has got overall?
Um, you know, again, because video games are so the creative process and the creation process for them takes so long.
Yeah.
You're kind of unless you're kind of the central character, similar to like when I was on Uncharted, you follow it a little bit more closely. This one, the amount I was much smaller in it, even though she's an incredible part, and who knows if it'll turn into anything in the future. But one of those things is that you go in and you do your work, and then you trust it to the collaborative process. And so for me, I think also the thing with God of War, as everybody experiences, is that looming release date. Like, when is
Yeah.
it coming out? When is it? You don't really know. You don't have a firm. Oh my goodness, my daughter. So with God of War, with the release date sort of moving and it being a longer process, it was one of those things where when it was getting released, it was really exciting. And, you start getting, like, I got an amazing gift from Santa Monica Studios in the mail, and all of the collector's items and stuff that they send you. And then you get just excited as the fans. And so, of course, I was really curious to see what she would look like, and how the scenes would come out. And so as I was watching it, I was really excited. And then obviously, the only way we sort of know how the audience is interacting is like through social media these
Yeah.
days. So all of the stuff that was popping up with everyone being so excited that I was a part of it, and everyone's reception of who she was. I mean, I saw this video with all these gamers' reactions of when she came in, and
Yeah.
it's funny. It spans everything from like, oh my gosh, she's a hot character, to who is that, or oh my word, I know her voice, or all these things. So it's just fun to get audience interaction, and to know that that they were happy with it. And for me, just from an acting standpoint, it was such a really regal, fun character to play. And her hair was, when they showed me a picture of it, and so I asked them, I was like, can I be in heels in mocap, and can I have something here on my shoulder so that I'm reminded of where I'm moving? And they were so accommodating towards that, and it was really helpful. And that stuff's all helpful in the imaginary, world.
Yeah.
So that was really fun.
Wow. Yeah, it was really fun to meet her for the first time. I was like, oh wow, that's Thor's wife. Oh, that's great. So it was like I
Mm.
really liked where it even went like later on in the game. I was like, oh, this is going very good, and like I wanted more from Sif as well at the same time. I'm like, I wish everybody had more. Like all the characters that they
Mm.
presented, like everybody had more. But I knew like the game was already longer, and I was like, if it would have been much more longer. I don't know how players would have liked it on whatnot, but like really enjoyed whatever was presented with Sif. I really like that character. But
Well, and it's really a testament to the studio and to PlayStation in realizing that there's a hunger for, just good stories
yeah,
in this medium as well. And the fact that, when we started with Uncharted, um, it was it just was non-existent.
hmm
This genre of this deep, rich character storytelling. Obviously, Last of Us built on that, and then they've continued to build on things just character wise. But it's been really cool to see the gaming world embrace not only hiring really great actors, but the combination between that and the writing in this field is really exciting because it allows us, movies 2 hours, binge watching television, but this is an immersive thing, and it's a whole different genre. And so I just hope they keep letting me be allowed to be a part of it because it's so fun, right?
Yeah.
It's one of my favorite books growing up to read were the choose your own adventure stories.
Oh.
And that's a lot of what, gaming is
Yeah.
let's explore this world. And this is the story. And we have but you get a choice in how you go through it.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. Like gaming now, especially the way stories are built now, has gone through so like it's an evolution really. Like the way games were then, the way games are now. It's like it's story rich. Like so much characters. Every character has some kind of connection. It's emotionally driven. There's obviously action and stuff, but I really love that it's emotionally driven. That's what gets me going in any games when there's like a connection to the characters, when I can be emotionally invested in it. And this God of War or even Uncharted and all the many other games were in that zone. So I really am really happy to see that because now, especially now, like games are, especially like you mentioned Last of Us, which was a great game, and then it now turned into a TV show, and then everybody, even more people got to know like, oh, Last of Us was a TV show. Oh wait, it was based off a video game.
It was on a game.
And then people are like, oh, I want to play this game. And then that's how it starts
Mhm.
in some ways. Like, okay,
Yeah.
that's how people get into video
Yes.
games as well.
Yes, it's so great. It is so great, and it's very exciting. I hope that that cycle continues. There's so many. They say, obviously with film and TV, when you're creating stories, it's like, oh, every story's kind of already been told. And while it has, the thing is in the game industry is it's kind of like a Wild West. There's a lot of stories that maybe have been told in other mediums, but not yet in the world of a game. So that's exciting.
Yeah, very much exciting. After I think this was in God of War Ragnarok, I think this would be your first time in a long time being in a mocap suit. I think after Uncharted 4.
Yes, I think God of War was the first time. I was trying to think. I had done some DLC for Horizon Zero Dawn, but that wasn't a mocap suit. That was just voice stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. So how was that like, getting back into mocap? Because I remember Uncharted 4, I believe so, was for the first time they brought mocap, motion capture, I think. I could be wrong. In Uncharted 4 first, and the previous game was probably just voice. And so like in it,
For Uncharted?
yeah, for Uncharted.
It was all motion capture.
From the very beginning?
From the very beginning.
Oh man. Good job, me. I definitely did everything.
No, I just like to say that because we like to take credit for a lot of that. I mean, there was other motion capture stuff happening, but what Amy Hennig and Josh and all of the guys at Naughty Dog did at the beginning I mean, I just can't believe that I just cannot sometimes believe that we got to be there at the beginning of this whole thing. Because to be honest with you, now the way the industry is, I don't necessarily think, because it is very name driven, just like film and TV, I would have been allowed that opportunity. Like that would have been given to somebody much, much, much bigger. And so for me to get that chance right out of school, to start in an industry that was literally just budding itself, is like, I'm always just completely floored, like so floored by the history that, we got to be a part of by being in Uncharted, so cool.
Yeah, it is.
But yes, it was motion capture. But the difference was, like, when we did motion capture for the first one, is every single ping pong ball had to be Velcroed on, like every single one.
Wow.
We had nothing on our face, and we had no, trying to think if we even had cap mics. We had lavs, but I think as we went along, they added that. And then as we went along from there, then the balls were they were sewn onto our suits. And then it moved to the markers on our faces and also the cameras on our heads. So, I mean, this is very funny. And I know there was a lot of other actors that did motion capture in different ways in different genres. But when I walked onto God of War, even though I was a newbie in the set and, you know, I was kind of walking onto these stages, I was like, I wanted to be like that old lady that's like, well, look how far we've come, you know? Look at all these youngins standing on the shoulders of the technology we created, you know?
Yeah, you'd
It's
be like,
like,
back in my days.
yeah, back in my day, we had to T-pose, you know? It's like, none of this is T-pose. We had to T-pose, and the volume started here, and we could not, you know, all that stuff. I just was so proud of it. I don't know why I feel like I can be proud of the technology. It's not like I invented it, but it was fun being there at the beginning.
Oh no, yeah, that's right. I mean, you guys really in Uncharted, you guys, your the evolution sort of happened with the motion capture from Uncharted 1 to Uncharted 4, which is very good to hear. Like you talking about like the ping pong balls or, you know, in the suits were like in a different way, and it's how it evolved. So it's pretty cool. Like you actually were in that zone in that particular moment. So I, you know, you should be proud of it. It's like
Yeah.
it's a big
Well,
thing.
and because, you know, people often say like, "Oh, you did the voice of Elena." And I'm always like, I want to say, "No, I did the role of Elena."
Yeah.
Like it wasn't like we were just doing it's not like we stood there and did the voice. Like we sat around the tables, we had the rehearsals, we talked about character, and then we would come in the next day and we would film it and film it and film it until it was right. And that was based on their entrustment of us to embody these roles, which doesn't it's a different thing when it is just your voice. It's not that it's less than, it's just a different thing than when you're allowed. You still use your body when you're
Yeah.
behind just the mic, but when a camera is when a computer probably has every shape my body was for 10 years of my life in its filing, in its hard drive files. I mean, it's kind of hilarious.
That is hilarious.
Like I was pregnant. You know, I always say I was like, you know, maternity mocap. I had that maternity suit, you know, like there was a lot. It was fun.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, it's awesome to see that you know, you got back into the video games with God of War, especially with God of War Ragnarok, and have that really awesome role. Even though it was small, I still really enjoyed everything about the character Sif. But did you actually you mentioned like you got to see some of the reactions and stuff about like the first time the character entering. Did you get
Mhm.
to see more of the game, or do you ever even play games at all? Ever try to play any games?
I haven't gotten to play God of War yet. I have played some of Uncharted. It's tricky. My boys are 9, 7, and then I have a 3.5-year-old. So my oldest is like they'll come up to my office and they'll read the Uncharted books and they're like begging me to play. And I just keep saying like it's a little different when you're hearing your mom get shot at. Like that's a different thing than just playing a video game with your mom. Like you're hearing me scream and run and die and drown, and that's my voice, which is embedded into your psyche. So but I really I said, listen, just give it a few more years and I'll be the cool. You'll be like, Mom, you're the coolest ever. Like, you know, but I haven't had a chance to like fully play them yet just because of my life and my job and my career.
Yeah.
Have my hands in a million things. But I have really, really enjoyed the ability. So thanks to all the YouTubers and everybody, in my opinion, that is commenting on it and assembling scenes and things like that. Uncharted, Naughty Dog back in the day used to assemble all the scenes for us so that we could
Wow.
watch them straight through so we could see our work, because they were like, it's a 13, you know, it's a 12, 13-hour game. Like we know that it's going to be a chunk of time
Yeah.
and we don't even know if you have the skill level to get through it. But, um, and then I've obviously played a little bit on like when Nolan's done the playthroughs and things like
Oh
that.
yeah, yeah.
But no, I've just really benefited from watching everybody edit them together. And I've loved to go back and, like even watching that scene where I'm speaking to Thor about, remembering sitting by the fire with our boys. And I mean, it's just all
Oh
of
yeah.
that stuff to me. And it was happening during a really, we did it in the middle of the pandemic stuff. So there is this nostalgia of it feeling relevant, of like, do you remember like the good times, like where we were before? And Matt, is that everybody there is so good about infusing their own family experience into what these conversations and relationships would be. And they're so willing and able and want to talk to you about it. So it just makes it really easily to access. But in terms of watching stuff, thank you everybody that assembles it. So people like me can just hop on and watch our work for sure.
That's cool. No, actually, you know what? Like it's time taking to play games really. Especially like even now, like I do a lot of things, and when I'm like I want to play this game, and then by the time like the day ends, I'm like I'm ready to play the game, but I'm so tired. I'm probably gonna do it
Yes.
tomorrow, and that just keeps on going out. So like it's very hard to
Yeah.
like even play, especially games like which is like 13, 14 hours long. I'm like, oh well, great, I'm just gonna definitely
Yeah.
finish
It
that.
feels like it literally has to be a job,
Yeah,
like that you
yeah.
want to be like, hey, can I get paid to play games? That would be awesome. I know some people do. Oh,
Yeah, some people are lucky enough to actually get that.
yes.
I wish
Yeah.
that was same with me. That'd be
But
cool.
I know. Hey, soon enough, man.
Who knows? I don't really see that, but let's see. But yeah, like you mentioned, like you have watched and haven't really played it. But like, what do you then generally do in like free time when you're like away from everything now, or you have done everything else, and what do you do like in free time usually?
Well, I'm really, really trying to get free time. That's such a luxury.
Yeah.
Um, if my family's, around, it's different. If the free time I have when kids are at school is I'm mainly actually Nolan's wife. So Nolan from Uncharted, his wife and I started a production company. And so we have sold one show and then we are working on our kind of slate of projects. So for me, I'm really enjoying producing. It's
Wow.
like I never thought I would get to do it. And it's just kind of a season in life where I'm discovering that in all of the time that I've gotten to be an actor, love being behind the camera, love being in front of it, but I also just love the village and the community of creatives and all working together to make something. So I feel like I'm just at that point where I think when you're beginning and you're starting your career and you're learning a lot, hate saying that, your career, but when you're doing it, your work, you kind of just think of yourself. I thought of myself in this one spot. And in projects like Uncharted or God of War, or, some of the shows I've been a part of, like John from Cincinnati or ER, Brothers or Sisters, you are in these ensembles of people, Haven, obviously, and you just build these great bonds because you're making something together. And then you reach, you know, a certain age in your life and you're like, wait a second, my friend who I've been a dear friend with is doing their job and their passion just as much. And maybe we could do something together and create something because now we might have the ability to do it. So that's just kind of where I'm at right now. If I am like totally free to the world, I love to go horseback riding and I
Wow.
love just, um, playing guitar and artistic things and stuff like that. So, but that is like so few and far between right now. Like, I feel like I'm trying to be a good mom, a good wife. I'm trying to keep work coming in and I'm trying to keep making things all at the same time. I'm just trying to keep swimming. So,
Wow. That's very that's pretty cool. That's what's also very hard to do, like to get to get all the work and stuff. But how do you sort of like um, you know, uh, for me, I can only talk about me, but like when I'm trying to work on some things and here and there, and when I try to also at the same time want to see the results and stuff like that, and if it doesn't really happen, just like, oh wow, I couldn't do it again. Like that comes to mentally, like I couldn't do it again. Maybe I'm not able to do it this right. Maybe it's not for me, and all that stuff happened. Do you ever have any of those
Oh
thoughts?
yeah. I mean, I think I've gone through a really large season of that lately. I mean, I think a lot of people in the world are kind of, um, if they're honest, hopefully feeling the gratitude for the work that we do have when it does come in, because it's not guaranteed to us. Nothing is guaranteed to us. And so, I think every artist, that, you know, artists and creators are by nature people that see things that are not there, right? That's how they create.
Yeah.
They see the thing that's not tangible and they want it to become tangible. Like they want to take something that doesn't exist and make it exist. So, and you're just giving me this realization right now as we're talking, but so it is frustrating inherently as an artist when you feel that you're putting your hands to making something and you're not seeing it come to fruition, right? Um, but I feel like you have one of two options. You either stop imagining and hoping and envisioning things that you're going to create, and then what do you do? Like, just like, I don't even know. Or you keep attempting and then seeing what kind of sticks, and there's a couple of things I've kind of come to realize even just in the past like year or so, because I had a section of my career right out of school that I was just working like crazy, like just. Now I look back at it and I'm like, man, if I could say, Emily, enjoy this, this is really fantastic that these opportunities are here. Um, and now sometimes when that movement doesn't feel like it's happening, or I'm working more on auditioning and maybe not getting as many, jobs or whatnot, then, you start to doubt that
Yeah.
in yourself. You start to doubt that. But it's been funny because, you know, I got I can't say what show it is, but I recently booked a show that I'm guest starring on, and the showrunner of it. So here I am. I've auditioned for the show. I get on what's now like, here's my old actor thing. I'm like on a Zoom call going, oh, back in the day, we used to sit in rooms and talk to people. But now we're all on Zoom and the showrunner pops up and I'm sitting here feeling like I want to say, thank you so much for hiring me. I'm so excited. Like, thanks for entrusting me with this part. And before I can even say any of that, she hops on and is like, Emily. And I'm like, yes. And she's like, I just want to tell you, I loved your work in Uncharted. And I was like, my worlds are colliding. And I'm coming to realize that the work that you're kind of planting or the things that you're working on that maybe were years ago, the creators of today, or again, the people you're like there or were the audience for something back then that are now inspiring them to create, and they want to work with like-minded people. So I think I've just had to really take a pause and be like, I can't grasp onto this thing. It's not mine. It's a gift. So therefore, how am I going to steward it? And I'm just going to trust that what's mine is mine and what somebody else's is somebody else's. And I'm just going to keep working because it is my job. The thing I do have control over is to be the best at what I can do. And trust that that's great. I mean, just the fact that you're here doing this and, staying on, asking to interview people and to learn and to be in that world, not only does it benefit you and everybody that watches it, but it benefits, the artist as they're sitting here gabbing about themselves and having to self-reflect. So it's all good, right? It's all good. And I think I also, try to just live, have been trying to remind myself that I do know more than I give myself credit for. And I was very benefited and learned a lot from mentors in my life, passing that on to me. So to understand that there are people and generations coming up behind that, if I can give that gift to them too, that's just as rewarding. And you never know. Like, there's a man, he's still alive, I think. A
I think.
Disney, yeah, I'm pretty sure he is. I've looked him up. A Disney, they call him what? Imagineers. And his name was Craig McNair Wilson. And he performed at a little tiny high school in San Jose. And I was from Washington State. And I went down to San Jose, California. And I went to this little theater camp. And it was on that stage that I saw him do his one-man show. Didn't do it with anybody else, his little one-man show. And I saw what he was doing. And I was like, I want to do that for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
He doesn't know. He doesn't know that his creation and going out and kind of stepping out in faith to do something that maybe he thought was small impacted somebody, and then they had a lifelong kind of career and mission, Lord willing, because of it. But I know. So you may never see the seeds of what you kind of plant out there.
Yeah.
Sorry, that's very philosophical, but that's how I kind of have to stay in it. You just don't know.
Yeah.
And I'd rather be doing this than other things, and I'll try to do it as long as I can. So hire me, people, so I can.
That's so cool.
There's no shame.
There's no shame. Just like it's okay to like advertise and like just go for it. Like, hey, you're doing, you've done such an incredible job in all the shows and even the games. So like, hell yeah, like, hire this person, please.
Yes, hire me. I enjoy working. It's fun.
No, that's pretty true. Like what you said, all of this, what you said, like, that you never know like how it has impacted anybody else, which I always think about, like, okay, what I do. And I always give this to tell this to myself, like what I do is not really that, in the sense like that is not really that important, or like in the sense of like it's not really gonna probably impact anybody. Is anybody even watching this? And all that stuff keeps on coming into my mind. But I keep on like understanding, like even one person comments down, says like I really enjoyed watching this, and I was like, that's great. At least one person, if not anybody else. I know that I'm 100% sure that at least this one person actually liked watching what he or she saw. So that helps me out.
And you never know. I mean, the amount of Comic-Cons, and I haven't done a ton. I wish I could do more, because that's one of the very few places that you actually really get to interact with your people that are watching, which the thing I always just, sometimes Lucas and Eric and I would stress out about, the episode of Haven and why isn't it this? And we want it to be this. And then we would get to these Comic-Cons and people, would say to us, I was in the hospital and I was so sick and I had something to keep me company for 3-5 years, or, not that they were in the hospital for that long, but, for a very long time. Or I'll have a mom come up to me and say, oh my gosh, Haven we loved it so much because it was something that my daughter and I could watch together. And we've had the same thing with Uncharted. Families come up to Nolan and I and say, we just love the series because it was, instead of them going off and playing a video game by themselves, like we actually really enjoyed whenever the scenes would come on, we'd come and watch it together. And so to be a part of entertainment like that is either helping people learn something, or that is keeping a family together, or that is encouraging people. I think that's why, just me as a person, I try to kind of stay away from anything that's way too dark or destructive or scary, because I'm like, I don't want to be a part of somebody's mental anxiety. Like I want to help and be positive in that way. Just like all of us, like, enjoy listening to podcasts or watching things because we're like, I want to be inspired, or I want to learn something, or spend time with people that make me laugh. And that's what we turn to, right?
Yeah.
So it does make a difference. And I would say that about the YouTube platform as well. I just think it's incredible. Anything that I want to learn about, I either go, like, instead, I don't have time to go to the library, but if I'm driving my kids or whatever, I'm being a present mom, but I can also have, like, or if I'm cleaning the house, I can just have something in my ear and I'm like, oh, I'm learning about this part of production, or I'm learning about this. And that's because people like you and, other people are taking their time to put that stuff out there, and it's incredible that we are now in a society where we can access that. That's awesome.
Yeah, yeah. Looking back, like, looking at the overall thing that you just mentioned, like, it is pretty awesome. Like, there's so much out there, and everybody can they can learn or know anything at this point in time, whatever they like, whatever they want to know, any new things they want to know or they want to learn. So it's
Mhm.
pretty incredible. But yeah,
Yeah.
we keep on, Uncharted is always going to be like a game that everybody always talks, and about your career, and so far what you've done. Uncharted has always been like, yeah, like a big thing. And even overall, like, as a game itself, like, Uncharted is like so well received. Even like recently, last year actually, people who didn't have a PlayStation could get to play the Uncharted game, like at least the fourth Uncharted game, on the PCs and stuff. So that legacy continues, and I'm just like very. Uncharted even got a movie too, so like,
Mm.
it's so cool to see like Uncharted just building up all, like, after so long. But like, but do you remember anything from the very first game that you got into? Like, do you remember any of the, or do you have any memories of the, like, favorite moments or something like that from that time?
Oh yeah. We always laugh about how in the first games, before anybody knew anything, when we were making it, that they were like renting, like, the real Jeeps. Like the Jeep that we got in, and it was an old vintage Jeep, and it had legit rat poop in it, and the seat belts were disgusting. Um, and everything was real. Like the plane was built really big.
Uh,
Um, I remember, putting on the backpacks and having to pretend like we were floating in the water. And it's so funny. I remember Amy was just like, she is, talk about a visionary, just somebody before her time, because she made Elena, this pretty much this YouTube journalist. Like she was saying, she's like, YouTube, like, they're like independent journalism, just like people wanting to take their own cameras and shoot their own stuff. And I was
yeah.
kind of like, I don't really get that, but okay.
What is that?
Yeah, what is that? And now it's just like, pretty much Elena was trying to be a journalist influencer. Like she was trying to build her own channel and
Yeah.
get her own stuff made. And um, that's incredible to me. So yeah, I remember that. And I remember like ducking and hiding behind things, and like the scene where I come out in front of Nolan and like punch him, and because he left me at the dock.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I remember that. And just some of my fondest memories were my mentor, who was my audition teacher at UCLA, who's Gordon Hunt. He was a huge voiceover director and casting director. He did the Flintstones. He did all the Hanna-Barbera stuff. He did,
Uh,
I mean, so the Smurfs, like everything. And he's Helen Hunt's dad. He was our audition teacher, and so he was our game director on this game. And I just remember all of our stuff with him. Like it was something, great directors and working with him, and he just had a sparkle and a love for scenes and energy between people. And so the fact that the computers could pick that up, and then also, like I said, this was pre all the face dots. Okay.
yeah.
So this was kind of just the skeleton part of getting our body movements. Um, but we would have to come into Naughty Dog and sit with the artists, and they would take pictures of our faces in all of these places, so that when they were watching the video footage back on us, that they would be animating that in the computers. So I don't know, just the fact that they could do that then, and now to see what it is when I'm looking at God of War, and just the realistic, like that it's catching everything we're doing, is insane. It's insane.
Yeah, yeah, that technology has grown a lot. Like it's come a long way, and everything is so realistic, which is insane. The facial expressions, especially facial expressions, been so it's able to catch so realistically, and I love every single part of that. Like I
Mhm.
in some ways, I wish I could like to see that and like in real life would be like insane because I always see behind the scenes footage and it's so cool to like you guys like acting and imagining things, yeah, which is like I believe like how do you guys do that first of all, but like I understand like you guys are actors, you guys have the ability to imagine things that that are not there that, so that you can act upon it or use it as a way. So I just like I really love how it is, and then I really love how the technology has grown. But yeah, Uncharted for me is like a very special place in my heart because I really loved how Nolan performed Nathan and like the jokes and like
Mhm.
everything and the cute relationship between Nathan and Elena, and I just loved it. And because when I got the PlayStation, I had Uncharted 4 with it, along with it, and I was like, I can't play
Mhm.
just Uncharted 4. I have to play the first three games, so I have to.
Thank you for doing that. I'm so glad. It's so hard when people just start off, And I always tell them, I'm like, be patient, like understand that when you're playing the growth of technology. It
Yeah.
has been remastered, but you are playing that, like you're watching that growth curve.
Yeah, yeah, it was very important for me because I wanted to know who Nathan is from the get go, and I had no idea that Elena is a character. I had no idea that he had a brother. I had no idea about even Sully because I didn't watch anything. So I wanted to see from the very beginning, and I'm glad that I did that because I got to experience the whole story. I got to experience all these characters, and I got to see this love story built upon with Nathan and Elena, and
Mhm.
that's why the Uncharted 4, that moment of Nathan not telling Elena, and he went on and did all this stuff, and Alina found out, and she was like, and that moment hit me. I was like, oh gosh, man, this is so cool because that kind of level I never saw in the Uncharted game. So I just really loved that
Mhm.
moment, and I was like, oh gosh, he screwed up. This is bad for Nathan. So yeah,
Yeah, Nolan had a hard time with that scene. We both did because, we did feel like it was so out of character for him. But then we sort of, just chose to lean into it,
mhm.
and lean into that because it is shocking and you're
Yeah,
like, what has happened? But I do love that scene. It's so I've seen it come up a lot and people talk about it a lot. And I mean, I loved it. I loved that scene.
yeah,
It's really, yeah.
it is really
You,
cool. I love
you
every.
hope that you hope there's guys watching. They're like, oh, I've done that and I should not do that.
This realization. Oh
Lesson,
crap.
a lesson to you all.
Yeah, it would be a realization for a lot of people, and they were like, "Oh crap, I did that too," uh,
Yes, yes.
but it did not
Well,
end
and
that
that's why
way.
I also love that about, the Uncharted games is up into that point, which Amy really stressed to me, being a female game director, is up into that point, even though Laura Croft was really cool and capable, she also was a bit of a sex symbol in a lot of ways. And Elena was this new um archetype of a video game character that was being allowed to come in and say, listen, we want girls in this world and we want reality in this world and we want real relationships in this world. And this may be the person that's your friend that you end up finding that you really have something with. And then how are you going to treat them? And I love that we did that. Yes. Elena, enough for you in that little, she's like, so funny.
Yeah, that's so funny.
She is
You know,
next level.
thanks so. I love that. That's really cool. I actually,
Yeah,
I
I mean, that is her. The last 4 days, she has had her shark sunglasses on, her Paw Patrol backpack, and she is on a T-Rex hunt with tiger shirts on because she has two older brothers, and it's just so funny to watch. Like it's like this is, and this is it. It's like these are like capable young girls that you're raising. You're like, go get the dinosaur,
yeah,
man. You
go,
can do it.
you go get him. Yeah.
It's funny though too. My oldest son today, he just did this today. He's like, "Oh, I need to go get my Lego minifigure." I was like, "Why?" And he goes, "Because he has a little stop motion class at school, which is so awesome."
Wow.
And he's like, it's my Drake minifigure, and I have the plane. And
Oh
I'm
wow,
gonna put like he's doing his own little stop motion thing for Uncharted in his class because he's been reading the book. So
that
art
is
imitates life, imitates art, imitates life.
yeah, that is so cool. I love it. I would like maybe one day, someday, like maybe in the future, you could get to play Uncharted and see the work that you
Oh,
did.
he will. I took him to see it. I took him to watch the movie. I took him to watch the movie. One, because he knows Nolan really well. And I was like, you got to see Nolan do this cameo.
Yeah,
And and then also, I may not have been in the movie, but I'm just proud. I'm like, there's the fabric of our relationships, and the story that we created was so captivating and gripping to people. And Amy did such an amazing job, and Dog did as well, that it's becoming this
yeah,
and people are going to see it. And
yeah,
that's really cool.
yeah. I was really surprised. I had no idea that Nolan would be there, and when I saw him, like, that's him. And so
Oh yeah.
when I heard him, I'm like, oh gosh, that's Nathan Drake. Like it was like so cool.
Yeah. No, it had to happen. He had to be in it. He
Yeah,
had to be in it. There was no other option. I think people would have been very angry if he wasn't.
yeah, that's true. And
Which I love. I love that. I love that gamers are like, we want to see stars, but we want to see the people we've also listened to for so long. So
yeah,
I
and
love
I'm so happy that he was there, and I just love it. It's something that Nolan is someone that I really want to talk to, and it's because he has done so many incredible work in video games, especially. So I just love seeing him in everything. So it's so cool to see him in the movie too, which the character that he developed for so long and has been known for. So it was very cool. And
he's extremely, extremely talented, that man.
yeah,
So talented.
very much. Well, I would say thank you so much for taking all the time for talking to me about games. I know it took probably too long of your time, and
No, no. Thanks for your patience with all the interruptions.
oh no,
That's real life.
that's
That's why when you're emailing me to schedule an interview, I'm like, I don't know.
should I say something? What should
Yeah,
I?
I don't know.
No,
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
it's been really cool. I loved knowing all the stories, especially the Uncharted, which I had no idea that how the motion captures as they kind of developed, because I'm stupid enough for not watching it really. But it's been an
Oh.
incredible time. It really I just really wanted to talk to you. It's been like one of my
Well, thank
dreams.
you. And you're the first person to interview me about Lady Sif. So look at you. You got the first interview. That's fantastic. It's a big deal. I'll post it on my Instagram, and then hopefully people will come along and take a listen. So
Yeah, it's
thank you for that. I'm so grateful to PlayStation. I'm so grateful to Sony's Santa Monica Studios, and just their belief in us actors and getting a chance to take a stab at these amazing characters. And they were so patient with me as I was catching up on all the mythology too. So I understand gratefulness. I'm very grateful to have been a part of it. So thank you.
yeah, I'm really happy that you got to be a part of it. I was very happy to see that you were in the game as Sif. So I was like, yay, that's so cool. So yeah,
Yeah.
I'm just excited to see more you being part of more games, because I just love you being in games and playing these characters. So I'm just excited to see what happens, even shows and what's coming up, as well as you talked about having your own working with Nolan's wife as well, how that all on those things. So I'm just excited overall in the future for what's to come for you. So it's really exciting times really for me.
Thank you. Yeah. So the Instagram that you can follow that stuff along at is Emily Rose LA. And then our production Instagram, which I haven't told a lot of people, it's just connected on my site. But if you do want to follow along on our projects, which we're really excited about, we have a World War II show about the female pilots of World War II that's starring Renee Zellweger, which is incredible.
Wow.
That we're trying to get on Peacock, and will get on Peacock. And that is so our Instagram handle is at North, like Nolan North Rose, like Emily Rose,
Wow.
North Rose Pictures. And that's our Instagram handle. So come follow us along there as well to be updated on all things North Rose. So